Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets, how to increase your market business success, and in our current climate, maximize safety while providing people with fresh food. Farmers markets are essential. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer or food maker selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast. This week, we're chatting with Nathan Macaulay of Apricot Lane Farms about how the biggest little farm has been affected by the events of this last year and how they've adapted.
Hey everyone, I'm one of your hosts, Bridget Myers. I'm a longtime farmers market manager, vendor 101 co-teacher, and education coordinator at Farmers Market Pros.
And I'm Kat Fields-White, Director of San Diego Markets, still an active Farmers Market Manager, founder of Farmers Market Pros, and host of Intense, the Farmers Market Conference, and the Farmers Market Pros community.
And I'm co-host Justine Marzoni-Mead, Tent Talk producer, marketing director for Farmers Market Pros, and logistics coordinator for Farmers Market Pros membership program, which we're starting and we'll talk about more soon.
We will talk about that more soon. That's a new and exciting program. Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by Local Food Marketplace. If you attended Intense, the Farmers Market Conference last month, you heard from market managers from Boise, Idaho to Ithaca, New York, about their experience with adding online pre-orders for pickup at their farmers markets. Those managers and their farmers and vendors upload information about available products onto user-friendly local food marketplace websites created especially for them, and they added thousands of dollars in sales to their totals in the process. Local Food Marketplace makes selling local fresh food easier at large and small farmers markets throughout the U.S. Contact them at localfoodmarketplace.com for a demo today and tell them the Farmers Market Pros sent you.
All right, well, welcome back to Tent Talk. Today we are talking with Nathan Macaulay, Director of Sales at Apricot Lane Farms. Even before Apricot Lane Farms got their close-up in the amazing film, The Biggest Little Farm, they were selling at multiple farmers markets in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Chef in the field, Nathan manages those sales and their market staff. He shared his expertise with us at Intense, the Farmers Market Conference 2020, more than a year ago, and we are looking forward to hearing how things have changed. Welcome, Nathan. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. We got you in after a busy day at the market, right?
Yeah, it was a great day at the market.
So Nathan, if you want to just give us start with a little background on yourself, how you got involved and Apricot Lane Farms.
Yeah, so I was in food pretty much my entire professional career. I graduated with my Bachelor of Music from the University of Oregon and went directly into kitchens. Did a few year stint as the middleman, then doing wholesale produce distribution, and looking for something different because apparently produce distribution has worse hours than chef life, which that's
what?
That's possible.
Yeah. So I was looking for something still in food, but that I could have a family. And I had a friend who was the assistant market manager at the Santa Monica Farmers Market, and she had seen this job posting for Apricot Lane Farms produce coordinator. I came to the farm and fell in love and haven't looked back since. And that was over 5 years ago now.
Oh, wow. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So how many markets was Apricot Lane selling in, and how many are they selling in now?
We were at 7. So I started the Farmers Market program. It'll be 4 years ago in June. And we started with 1, and then we grew up to 7. And once the pandemic started, we pulled back into just 4 weekly markets.
Is that because they're those markets haven't reopened, or it was just you guys wanted to kind of focus and focus your staffing in just a few markets, or what was the reason for kind of changing the number of markets after COVID?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was, there was a lot of chaos in the beginning. We actually took a couple of weeks at the very beginning of April and just stopped going to farmers markets to figure out exactly how we were going to keep everybody safe. So that was first and foremost. So during those 2 weeks, we solidified which markets were working to reopen quickly, and how we were going to set up the booth so that way we could sell produce as safe as possible. And then what was really a nice thing to see is as markets really started to get going, we became one of the gold standards that was posted to, if you want to keep your customers safe, they either need to not be touching the food, and they would have a picture of us where we had 2 tables right at the front where we were helping people. And then it was full service where all the produce was on back tables. So it made it feel like we were actually keeping people safe and the produce as limited exposure as possible.
And were those adaptations things that you came up with, or did the farmers markets themselves kind of give you direction on what you needed to do to change, whether on their own or because they were getting instruction from the county?
We were getting information from the market managers themselves as to what we needed to do, and that was updated so frequently. But with the measures we took, we felt that we wanted to make sure that we were keeping product away from customers before it was mandatory. So I feel like we were a little ahead of the curve. And yeah, it just ended up being something that we're still doing now, even though people can, if they wash their hands prior to touching produce, at least in LA and Ventura counties, they can touch the produce again. We still have the whole separated product, full service.
Oh, you do? Yeah, they just changed in San Diego County. They just changed this last week to being able to allow customers to touch it. And we're doing it on kind of a case-by-case basis. If the individual farmer or vendor can figure out how to keep that really safe, we're going to try it this weekend and see how it goes. We may go, oh, never mind, we're going back to the no-touch thing. We'll just see how it goes. But I remember right at the beginning, Santa Monica was pretty stringent, and there were a few farmers there, you and a couple others, that were doing really creative, amazing things about making their booths safer. And those folks were sending us pictures. I would get a little iPhone text that say, oh, look what Apricot Lane's doing. Oh, look what Polito Farms is doing. And look how they've set up their tables. So that was really helpful to watch how everybody was adapting. Are most of the other protocols still in place, though, in both LA and Ventura? Are they requiring masks and counting people in and all that good stuff?
Yeah, that's still happening. It's interesting how every market has its own variances, even in the same county. And it's just us making sure we're working with each market manager to make it as safe a market as possible.
Did you add online sales in this process at all?
We don't do any produce or meat online. The only thing we do is our product line and merchandise. That continued. Our olive and avocado oil have been very highly sought after, and so that's been a great source for people. We started up a CSA style farm box service during our busy season last year. And we're going to look to do that again this year, as that was very, very successful. And we looked for new customers in areas that we hadn't looked before, like a lot of breweries and people that could take larger quantities. Luckily, we were already very diversified. So we already had retailers and wholesale accounts. A lot of our restaurant customers that would pick up at the farmers market, that dropped back. But the direct to consumer really skyrocketed. The biggest surprise for us, though, was the consumer at the farmers market changed. Our regulars that normally came to the market, they stopped, but it was a whole new wave of customers. So now it was reintroducing everybody to who is Apricot Lane Farms, what is biodynamic, as that is usually the first question we get. It was a fun but intensive process to teach everybody about the farm and what we do and why we do what we do.
Did you take any, did you take the opportunity to shift any of your messaging or kind of implement new points about yourself, or kind of refreshing any of your taglines or marketing, or was it still kind of just using the Apricot Lane that people knew pre-COVID?
It was still using the Apricot Lane. The nice thing is that we have the film, The Biggest Little Farm, and people had a lot of time to watch TV. So every single week we had a dozen, 24 people stopping by, especially at the beginning. We just saw The Biggest Little Farm yesterday.
Everybody has puffy eyes from weeping.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a great way. The film was just a great way to just get people to come see us. And then from there, getting them to try stuff. It was great.
So did you put a new banner in the tent that said "As Seen on TV" or "As Seen on Netflix"? Or?
We've been having had the Biggest Little Farm poster ever since we started
nice.
the film back in May of 2019, I guess. And so it's been something that we have out there, and still we get a few customers every single market that come by and say, "I just saw The Biggest Little Farm." So it's great. It brings people in and it just gets them talking.
Yeah, for sure.
We do
That's
so
awesome.
much stuff, so that way it can be overwhelming when people first look. It's not I'm just going to get a couple of these, because there's only a few choices. With sometimes 3 to 4 dozen different things that we do that are all at the same time, it can be overwhelming for people. So at least gets people to come in. And then there's always a few things that are just at their peak that it's like, just try this, you'll be happy. And it's a great way to just get people started.
Were you able to keep sampling? Are you guys sampling now?
But
No. Yeah.
It was the take one, go home and try it. And every single
Gotcha.
time people would come back the next week buying, half a dozen or a dozen of these or that or the other.
Yeah. So smart.
Nathan, we're curious because when you spoke at the Intense Conference back in 2020, which feels like 1,000 years ago, you shared so many really helpful tips about how you train your staff and how you get your staff super knowledgeable and be able to answer all those questions at the market and beyond. So we were just hoping that you can kind of fill us in on how your staff has been impacted by the goings on of the last year. It sounds like you pulled back on some farmers markets. Did you have to lay anybody off, or did you just kind of plug them into other areas of your business? How has that been going for you?
Yeah, so we've definitely had a shift, and we have less staff than we did. That was more of a mutual. A lot of people who really enjoyed the farmers markets didn't really enjoy all the time spent back at the farm in the pack house. I can attest to there are a limit of avocados you can polish before you kind of hit your peak, and I don't do avocados the way that I used to. I have an amazing team, and they do it daily now. So we dropped back pretty significantly, especially because we stopped doing double and triple markets. Like Sunday, we had 3 markets. Now we only have 1 on Sunday. So it wasn't, we were getting rid of the positions. We were trying to work people in elsewhere. Other people transferred to other departments. And some people just didn't want the switch. Other people didn't want to necessarily be working out in the public during the pandemic, which I totally understand. I was one of them. And so it was trying to find, for those that wanted to switch a position, others parting ways, and then just continuing the training, especially once we get to our slower season, hit the October time, looking to do cross-training on the farm, which I still maintain is one of the best ways for everybody here to really get in-depth knowledge of the different departments, because it's almost like 12 operations in one that we have here. So, they spend a day with the chickens or a day with a livestock team, helping the cows, the sheep, the pigs. Maybe they go up to culinary. There's the film production team. Maybe it's the infrastructure team. There's just so much to learn. The orchard team, the garden team, that gives them the best knowledge to be able to then share with the customers. And that's been a really big thing that we continue to do, really, with the whole staff on the farm. We anybody who works on the farm on average of 1 day a month, are allowed to do cross-training in different departments.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you're
That's so
still moving
smart.
them around a lot. That's good.
Yeah, so do you imagine adding more markets back into your mix anytime soon? Or kind of what's the trajectory there for Apricot Lane?
Yeah, we're starting to look at other markets that we do want to venture out into, although we want to do it slowly. And then other projects that will utilize the market team that hopefully we'll be announcing soon, that I think are going to be really exciting and a great way to give people another way to access everything that we sell.
That's great.
There's secrets. He's not exposing everything coming.
He's smart because we
so
always
smart.
announce everything and then we're like, we got excited and told everybody and now we have to figure out how we're going to do that.
Right.
We should take a note from you.
Speaking of secrets, you go ahead, Bridge.
I was just wondering, I know you guys have done a lot of tours at Apricot Lane in the past. I'm assuming that those kind of went kaput with the COVID stuff. Are you guys doing any of those right now, or have any plans to reintroduce those at any point this year?
Yeah.
Or just going to kind of see how it goes?
That was one of the biggest heartbreaks, at least for me. We had an amazing season of tours scheduled last year. The events team did this amazing job of setting the calendar, doing more tours than we had ever done in the past. We were going to have farm-to-table dinners. There was this one that we were going to do where you took the tour, and as you went, there were different stations where you would have little hors d'oeuvre bites made with different parts.
That sounds so amazing.
And yeah, all of that got scrapped last year. People we had to cancel tours on. Luckily, everybody was very, very understanding. We've been talking about it at this time just because it's still a big question mark. We don't have anything planned. We definitely would love to be able to open tours back up. And as soon as we are able to do it where it's safe for everybody, we will definitely be doing it. I think we'll might look at doing small formats potentially on and off until we can really start doing large ones. But it is something that we are chomping at the bit. And I know the public is too, as I answered at least a dozen different questions today of when we're going to open tours back up when I was at the market.
I know we were all looking forward to it when we saw you at the conference in 2020, right before everything went crazy. We're like, we're going to go to Apricot Lane. Like, we can't wait. We're going to make it happen this year. And then so we'll put it back on the calendar when you guys are ready to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Safely. So, yeah.
So if you're going back into more markets and things, and you're going to need to look at hiring new staff.
Yeah, it's going to be hiring new staff. We've talked about opening up to some of the staff on the farm too, just because we have so many different things we do. So we have a good amount of staff to pull from. And if it's something they're interested, kind of doing the cross training there. But we will probably be hiring a few people. It'll probably be part-time to start, not full-time. I never like to overpromise.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big thing.
Have you been hiring at all, or have you found? We've talked to a lot of people that have found it difficult to hire right now, partly because most people are like you and they can't necessarily promise a full-time position, and then for all the other reasons that we all lost people that weren't comfortable dealing with the public during a pandemic and those kind of things. Have you found it harder to hire, and are you doing anything special to make hiring easier?
Hiring has always been something that has been a long process for us. We also go through quite a bit of interviews. I think it's something like 4 to 5 interviews along the way. And we also find ourselves being in Ventura, not having necessarily as large of a pool as Los Angeles County does. We don't always get as many applicants, but it is definitely something that is challenging for all departments here to hire.
Yeah, I know it's been tricky for a lot of people. Have you changed? Did your employee pay scales change? I know a lot of people went to sort of a combat pay edition as people were standing out there with their mask on and dealing with customers who were good or bad about that.
No, pay stayed the same. We try to be competitive with our pay, and it never was a problem that I was ever told by any of our staff. So we kept it the same, and made sure that we gave them as much protection as possible as well.
I heard you say that one of the departments still operating is the film production crew. So we've heard little fluttery rumors about another film. Is that something you can talk about? Or is that one of those secret things? Yeah.
No, there's not another film that I'm aware of. The production, ever since day one, John and Molly starting, John was recording and they continue to record, but that's as much as I know.
All right. Mum's the word. So sales have been pretty good overall. We've heard from a lot of farmers that sales have actually gone up, and you're experiencing that same thing.
Yeah, they went up last year, and we're already up the first quarter of this year. So it's been nice to see people getting out and enduring the lines at farmers markets. I know it's not fun. A lot of the markets were kind of right near the entrance, and we can see the line, and we really appreciate all the people that come out and they're willing to wait in that line, because it can be a long time. And I understand that it's no fun.
Yeah. And Nathan, you said earlier that you noticed your regulars stop coming to the market and kind of this like new audience. So first off, have you seen those regulars come back as there's kind of a light at the end of this COVID-shaped tunnel? And two, who are those new shoppers? Like, what are they like? Are they young people? Are they old people? Are they health freaks? Like, who are these people that are shopping at the market now?
So to answer the first part, we're seeing a slow trickle of our original regulars starting to come back. And I think my guess is that as stuff starts to come down and things reopen and people feel safer, we'll see more people continue to come to the market. And with the second or the next generation of regular customers, it's really a mix. It's amazing what draws people in. Sometimes it's people who are looking for the most nutrient dense food, and they heard about us and that's what they want. Other times we gave out an avocado because they loved avocados and mentioned it, and they got hooked on avocados. And then the next time they decided that they were going to try our eggs, and then they were going to try this, and then they were going to try that. So there's such a wide gamut. And it's so great just being able to speak to all of them. I love asking everybody what they're going to do with this vegetable or that piece of meat, how they're going to prepare it, and finding the different uses. One person has eaten all of our meats at one point or another raw, which I was very fascinated to find out about. So it's
the things that customers tell you.
Yeah,
it's just their level of self-disclosure is very high.
That's true. They feel like their farmer is their friend.
Yeah.
They want to share it all. I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around that. What would we call that? Chicken sushi, or I don't know.
Yikes.
And also over this year, Kevin, who's my farmers market manager and oversees the whole farmers market department, has done just an incredible job of really refining the market, creating systems that are more streamlined, making it easier for customers. With doing less markets, it's been a really great chance for reflection of how can we make this better? How can we make it a better experience for the customers? And so to him and my entire team, in all aspects, from the pack house to sales side to the farmers market, they've all stepped up. People that were here at the start of the pandemic, the people that are still here, the few that are new the last few months, it's just an incredible group of people.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Absolutely.
The farmers markets. Yeah. Anything else we should have asked you that we didn't, Nathan? What else is exciting in your world?
What else is exciting? The people's response as they've tried stuff over the pandemic because they've been home cooking. Hearing people just rave about our avocado oil has been so exciting, but it's watching people who have been stuck at home through this time. The farmers market sometimes is the only time they go out the entire week, and just seeing that glimmer of hope. And I always say that getting to work at the farmers markets where you get that one-on-one interaction and the direct feedback from customers is just so rewarding, and something that I always wish that everybody who works in the gardens and the orchards and the infrastructure team and that all play a part in making what we grow get to them and then their tables. We get the direct feedback. And so another thing that we've tried to do is make sure that we share that feedback back to the staff. And so I always take, we have a end of market report that we send out to the team just so we can know if there was anything wrong, what was good, what was bad, what can we improve. And so we have one section that's just customer feedback. And so I always take a few of those highlights and try to make sure that it then goes out to the rest of the team.
That's huge. What a really good idea. I know that we deal with a lot of confrontation and things at markets nowadays, but those 2 or 3 people that come up and are so thankful that we're here and that they can get fresh food, and as you say, that they get a chance to see other humans that one day a week, those thank yous, those sincere thank yous can just make all the difference and keep us going.
Yeah, we'll keep all those people back at the farm polishing those avocados.
That's right.
Those long
That's right.
hours
Exactly.
when they know how much people love them.
Little motivation. Well, thank you for taking your time, Nathan. I know that you had some staff move around today and you actually had to go work a market before you talked to us. So thank you for taking the time to get back here and zoom on in.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. It was fun. Thanks for having me.
Great. Talk to you again soon.
Yeah.
Bye, Nathan.
See you soon.
Thanks for being with us today. And thank you to Local Food Marketplace for providing farmers, food makers, and farmers markets with a convenient platform for selling fresh local food online and for supporting Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. Farmers markets are all about community, and all of us, operators, farmers, and vendors, keep learning. Connect with people just like you from various parts of the country and share what's happening in your area in the terrific conversations over in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community. Find us there, answer the 3 qualifying questions, and join the group. You can also message us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros or email us at connect@farmersmarketpros.com. If you're just getting started in farmers markets, check out our Vendor 101 online course and get a head start on success. Thanks for listening to Tent Talk. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you access your podcasts, and tell us and others how you're enjoying Tent Talk. If you're listening on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss the next episode. Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is proudly produced by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni Mead. Original music by David Mead. Thank you so much for listening today, and we'll have another great episode next week. Tune in.